Hello, good evening, and welcome, ladies, gentlemen, and those who identify otherwise for this exciting evening, or morning, or midday of racing, depending on where you are, for this fourth installment of the SSRI GT3 Championship. Tonight, we are racing at American Imola, also known as Laguna Seca. Great track for racing. Oh, well, not that great for overtaking, but great track for action. I'm Oliver Anderson, Mr. One of Oliver. Joining me in the commentary booth tonight will be the long-awaited return of Mr. Andy King, also known as Harry Potter. How are you, Andy?
Yeah, I'm good, thank you, Oliver. Thank you for the lovely introduction there. I did notice that Chris has changed my name this time to my actual name, as opposed to Andy Potter, like it was at the race that we did at Red Bull Ring, which is now Andy Potter King. There we go, Andy Poking. That said for a short minute, if you saw that on the stream. But yeah, should be a good race there at Laguna Seca. It's a tight track. There's going to be a lot of overtakes, a lot of action. So looking forward to this one.
Yeah, and one of the things about this track is, even though it's a 75-minute race, tire wear is not that important around Laguna Seca, which might come in handy for some of the drivers trying to run the splash and dash strategy. Compared to contrary belief, then if you can just keep your car away from sliding all over the track, then it's actually quite lenient on tire wear, as it's a lot of mechanical grip around here, not that much downforce grip that you have to rely on tires. So interesting race we are looking forward to here tonight at this great, wonderful track. I do believe that Chris have the championship standings lying around somewhere, so we can have a quick look of what have been going on so far this season and how it's all looking. Having a quick look here at the silver standings, it's still Luke Wilson who have been dominating so far this season, leading away. 3 times winner out of 4 possible. Amazing drive from him. Jesse van Drylen second. He had that big unfortunate mistake, or not mistake, he got collected in a big crash at Spa where he was very close to winning his first SSRI race. Probably not the best moment of his season so far, but he'll definitely be trying it tonight and getting that famous win. Chris Haas in third. Best placed Audi, and one of the few Audis total in this season. Quite interesting that he's all the way up there. Nick Kleefeld in fourth, and Mr. Phil Baratti in fifth. Phil Baratti, the only other race winner so far this season, apart from Luke Wilson, of course, in the second race of the Red Bull Ring. Anything you want to add to that, Mr. Andy King, apart from Luke Wilson will be very difficult to catch up to, and Van Drylen also somewhat secure on P2 at the minute.
Yeah, I think this is a battle for P2 or P3 in the championship, isn't it? You can see on the right there how close the points are between P2 and P3 is just 1 point. So they're going to be trying to fight for position. I think it's going to be interesting. I think just going back to when Giovanni, sorry, I probably pronounced that wrong, won at the Red Bull Ring. That was quite a drive from him. I think that was potentially on the reverse grid, but I could be wrong there. So he's going to be looking to get some points there, because he's potentially on for a podium finish as well. And obviously we've got Laguna Seca tonight, but in 2 weeks' time we'll move to Indianapolis, which is sort of split into two different races. So lots of points to be made, but they're going to really want to capitalise on getting what they can in this race, I think.
Yeah, and for a lot of these drivers, there's even a little bit of a shakedown this weekend for Indianapolis when the Endurance Championship continues with the third or fourth round, depending on how you want to look at it. After the fourth round, it probably will be after the after the Hunger Games event that we had about a month ago at Nordschleife, of course. But I do remember that Phil Baracci and Mr. Bonjours had that great battle for P2 at Spa earlier in the season. Bonjours will also be trying to look for a great result here to throw himself back into contention for at least some sort of a good championship positions after he missed out the one race you don't want to miss, the double header at the Red Bull Ring this season. And I think Chris can show us the AM standings as well, which are slightly more tense at the top with Iron van der Linden leading away. Still haven't won at all and not even finishing on the podium in the class so far this season, but consistency is king, as they say. With Mr. Finnemar in second, who is way ahead of van der Linden in the overall championship, but that's not good enough to be ahead in the AM category. Michael de Gore in third, audience favorite. Only 2 points behind that P2 at the minute, and even something in fourth, and of course another of the fan favorites, Denise Pope in fifth, who actually have an AM win so far this season, which was a great drive from her at Spa. I'm wondering if she can continue the form here at Laguna Seca, as it is a track that should suit her driving style quite a bit, and from time to time she's trying to run the somewhat similar strategies, so I would like to run the offset strategies that can pay off a little bit if you do them correctly.
Yeah, I think she was really unfortunate at the Red Bull Ring, wasn't she? I think she was collected in a couple of incidents and decided that was enough for her day. But looking at the results at Spa, the first round of the Red Bull Ring, and obviously Imola last time, she's done quite well. I think the strategy thing's interesting. So in the Tier 1 race last week, quite a few people decided not to change tyres, but quite a few people also did. So yeah, I think to your point earlier around the tyre wear, it's an interesting strategy because actually you start the race on full fuel, nearly full fuel, so you'll be a little bit slow to start off with. You've really got to manage those tyres. But actually, if your pace on full fuel is only 0.3, 0.4 slower than it would be on low fuel, you're actually going to save yourself quite a significant amount of time in the pit stop.
I think
really
the difference is about a second roughly from full to half tank in general, but we'll see how it pans out tonight. The rookie class is also the great addition that we have in this season's championship, or the Swiss National Championship, we should say, when Chris move over to that. A lot of Swiss drivers in it, but none of them leading away, as it's Max Spooner in the Lexus who have been looking quite strong in the rookie championship so far this season, with Clemens Grohl and Still Vayment following in close behind. David Galland, good drives from him so far this season, but that eighth on the first race on the Red Bull Ring really hurts his championship at the minute. And of course, Fabio de Boer is in fifth, the best of the Swiss drivers around there. The rookie class is also super tight at the top, from 89 and down to 83. The top three only separate by a few points. That could quickly change around after tonight's race, depending on how it goes, of course. It will be super interesting to see how that will turn out, as we are very shortly getting live pictures from qualifying, I do believe. So we don't have time for the track guide before qualifying starts, unfortunately for the viewers out there. But if we follow a car around early in qualifying, we can maybe take you through the track and tell you a little bit about it as they are leaving the pit lane. Big queue. We are obviously on the pit exit side of the start-finish straight. The not named straight, the first proper corner, that slight kink we're going through now, turn 1, before we head into the Andretti hairpin. But of course we are on the pit road with these cars at the minute. One of the main overtaking opportunities on the track, the Andretti hairpin. You could also just try and sit up and get it done through turn 3 as we see the Aston Martin of Finema going through at the minute before heading into turn 4. Turn 4, one of the tricky ones. Very, very high speed corner, and then getting it slightly wrong, you'll lose a ton of time before going into turn 5, which is somewhat similar with a lot of camber on the inside of the corner, which means that you do want to take the very narrow line around there, coming up to turn 6 before the Rahal straight. Difficult corner with that sausage curve on the inside that we probably will see throw a lot of cars off during the race and qualifying today. Before we come into the famous, one of the most famous, if not the most famous corner in the entirety of the motorsport world, the corkscrew. Turns 7, 8 and 8A around this track. That big descent going through the corkscrew is really crazy. Through the rainy curve we go with Mr. Finema before heading into turn 10. Getting this turn right is very important for your race, as turn 11 could be an overtaking opportunity as well. And that basically rounds out a full lap of Laguna Seca, or American Imola as we should call it from now on. Anyways, the first drivers are starting to get their first laps on the go, as we are still following Mr. Finema around. Further back we have Chris Haas, who will definitely be looking to score some points this evening. He will need it for his P2 aspirations in the championship. From the Gazelle Motorsports team, the 333 car of Chris Haas starting his first flying lap now in the Audi. A little bit of a twitchy car to drive. These types of cars are super good on handling tracks if you can control them, but whether or not that Chris Haas can control good enough to finish on the podium, we'll have to wait and see, as he is out now through turns 3 he go.
Yeah, really tough track, isn't it? Really tough car, the Audi as well. So Chris has got a lot of work to do here to try and keep himself in contention for that podium. I think it's an awkward track, right? You need to use it's a bit like every track, but you need to use every inch of tarmac, try and capitalise on the entry, maximise your exit. But at Laguna Seca, you make a mistake, you end up in all this sand, and all of a sudden you could be 3 or 4 tenths up on your lap to suddenly being 5 or 6 seconds down, and
yeah, even worse, you could end up in a wall, as there are walls quite close to many of the areas around this track. As you just said, it is one of these old school tracks. There are not a lot of runoff areas around this circuit. It's basically just sand and gravel traps if you go off the track. Some very harsh sausage curves around as well. We are on board now with Chris Haas from the driver's point of view, as he comes to the final corner of the track before we'll see him with his first time on the board.
I'm going to guess P4.
Well, not unrealistic guess. Let's see.
P2, wow,
actually.
great drive. Good effort.
Still Vladimir on a provisional pole, we should say. Well, not that he'll keep it, we'll have to wait and see, but a 1:22.7 is a somewhat quick lap time around here. I don't think I could do better, honestly. So it's pretty good. Wouter Blitzmer further down in the 6 nice numbered car. Through the corkscrew he goes. Didn't look, that's definitely not how you take that corner, a little bit too far over the inside. Didn't get the optimum turn in for the corner either, did Wouter Blitzmer there, but he will be attempting at least on his next lap. Through the final corner he goes. I don't think the lap time is still valid, but Chris Hill can confirm that. The background maybe, but he'll definitely go across the line and start another attempt. With still 15 minutes of qualifying remaining, and this is one of those tracks where you get quite a few attempts of qualifying. As soon as you got that banker lap in, then you can really start throwing the car into the corners, as there are a lot of time to be gained here by just being that slight bit more aggressive, but you do pay the price if you mess up the corner.
We've just seen Finema go pole as well by 0.05 of a second in the number 99 Aston Martin with a 22.6. Be interesting to see if that gets beaten. We know that the current reigning champion Luke Wilson's got to go, and just so I say that, he won't get beaten again.
Goes fastest.
Yeah. Typical.
Yeah, I don't think that we are done seeing the lap times drop in this qualifying session, as there are quite a bit of improvements out on track. I know that Iron van Linden we're following at the minute are up by 6 tenths, which could throttle him into a provisional pole as well if he keeps momentum going. Have dropped a little bit, but still a long way to go around this track. Getting a little bit of a slide on there through through that corner leading onto the Rahal Straight.
Yeah, that was a good
Still Vettel is still up on his lap time, but he did lose quite a bit of time there. But this means that Iron van der Linden does have pace in that that number 14 THRC Ferrari that he's driving in the it does say silver on the bottom, but this would be the AM class, which he is currently leading in the championship. So he'll definitely be looking for the result tonight to extend his lead and keep it going out there in the front. Across the line he goes, jumps up to currently 6th, 3rd in the amateur class is the word that I'm looking for on the grid. The minute Cohen Geens coming up to the line, currently 17th, but he is improving by quite a bit and jumps up to 11th position. Quite a good lap time from the DDS driver, but still a lot of time to be found around this track for him. We still haven't seen Luke Wilson post anything that resembles a lap time, and he's still in the pit, not even gone out on track yet, I think.
Yeah, I wonder if he's. I wonder if this is tactical. I wonder if he's waiting for it to rubber in a bit and just wait for the last 5 minutes and just nail some fast laps. We'll see what happens. But interesting how he's still in the pits.
He could also be trying the last to first challenge, but that would be a bit surprising when you are leading the championship. Have to wait and see if he goes out on track at some point. The other Lexus of Max Spooner have just left the pits as we are speaking as well, to try and get a lap time on the board, as we are following Husinga of Sim Racing Holland around. The 188 car, also a car that a few people out there might be throwing a little bit of support out for, the Sim Racing Holland team. One of the, they have a few drivers in the championship as well, and they are quite beloved. Mr. Finema takes provisional pole, once again snatches it away from Mr. Bonsuas. Slightly quicker though, but I still don't think that we have finished seeing those lap times drop.
No, I wonder if towards the end of the session we'll start to see people dip into the low 22s, maybe even the high 21s.
We'll have to wait and see. Tom Ferris on the track, up by quite a substantial amount of time, but he haven't had the greatest of qualifying laps so far. He does lose quite a bit of time there in the run into the final corner, but quite a bit of time to be gained there from Mr. Tom Ferris, if he can put it together. But still no movement from Luke Wilson in the pits. I wonder if he is trying to start from the back. Daniel Hummel as well, still not with a lap time set, although he have moved out onto the track and he is rolling.
Yeah, it's an interesting one if that is the decision that he's taken, because actually Laguna is probably one of the hardest tracks in the game to overtake on. So if you start from the back, you really are putting yourself at quite a significant disadvantage compared to other tracks, say Spa, for example.
Most definitely, but what will happen to those guys? We'll have to wait and see. Patrick Blisters as well in the pits, not gone out yet to start a lap time, following Chris Haas, who is up by quite a bit of time. This could be provisional pole. No, just loses out by half a tenth to Finema, but he is the best placed silver driver, Mr. Chris Haas. Bonsuas following around. He is improving by only a tiny bit, but a tiny bit would be enough to put him on provisional pole. The Frenchman in the Huber Motorsports car looks like a French flag when you look at it from the front. Still a strong drive. He does go through the final corner quite nicely. Will this be enough for provisional pole? Mr. Bonsuas across the line, and yes it is. Provisional pole with still 10 minutes to go in this qualifying session. Also interesting how many stints the different runs, we should say, the different drivers will be taking in this qualifying session. Whether or not that they'll be just going out with high fuel and trying to get the laps out throughout the session, improving ever so slightly every time, or if they'll take multiple tires to try and run as low fuel as possible, as long as possible, with the best possible rubbers. What would you do, Andy? Well, you first.
Oh yeah, that was good timing, wasn't it? Great minds and all that. Well, having raced this last week, I didn't take tyres. And yeah, it was okay actually. The car behaved itself, I think. So I think probably if you've got the pace, maybe not taking tyres and having a shorter pit stop is the way to go. But I think it does depend on where you qualify. Maybe if you qualify near the front, you might want to go low fuel, try and run away from the pack a little bit, give yourself a bit of breathing room. If you start near the back, maybe you want to go for that undercut. So I think it depends on where you qualify and sort of where your pace is at. But yeah, what would you do?
Oh, well, I was talking about the qualifying, but for the race, I would definitely, around this track, I would be running the high fuel from the start. Even if you are in the middle of the field, top of the field, and just holding up as many people as possible while you're on heavy fuel is a good idea. If you're far behind, then you're not losing, or if you qualify near the back, you'll not be losing as much time or as much time in percentages of your overall possible best during the race. If you are near the back and can't get the overtakes anyway, then I would run the high fuel and then take a pit stop at whenever I felt like it. Maybe I would do the early splash and dash to get some clean air, and yeah, that would obviously depend on pace and whether or not that I was sure that I wouldn't get blue flagged at any points in the race by the leaders.
Yeah, sorry, I didn't realise you were talking about qualifying. In terms of qualifying, I put one set of tyres on for the whole session, typically. The only time I won't do that is if the qualifying session is quite long, or I have a spin. Speaking of spins,
big off there from Vladimir.
Yeah, he's lucky he's not in the wall there. He did quite well to actually get that stop. That was quite a moment. That was commentator's curse, that was, wasn't it? I mentioned the word spin.
Speaking, Mr. Bonjours have reclaimed provisional pole. For qualifying, for me personally, I would probably want you to freeze sets of tires and take the disadvantage of losing the possible laps when coming out on track from the pit lane, of course. But as we can return to garage in SSRI, I do prefer that. It's fixed time refuel, right? No, it is not. It is not. Refueling will be well, it's not fixed refueling basically. Whether or not you take the tires or not will be the good question in a race like this. It's a question from YouTube. That's Luke Wilson, yes. Well, is that Luke Wilson? Why do you have such a fancy name on the YouTube? And why the hell are you not qualifying? Oh, well, you're eating. Oh, that's why. So I assume that will be one shot qualify for Mr. Luke Wilson then.
Talk about setting yourself up for pressure.
Or even if he will finish eating on time, we'll have to wait and see. Following Michael de Gore around. He's in a bit of traffic there from the Sim Racing Holland car ahead of him. I can't see the number exactly on that car as de Gore just bails out and goes for another set of tires. Bouncer wins in the DDS 213, the M&M's liver red car. Across the line he will go. Does he improve from 12? We'll have to wait and see. He does, up into 6th position. Good lap from Bouncer Vince there.
That's quite a nice livery as well.
Yeah, it is. Here they have been running this also last season, where they had a multiple of the M&M cars with both the yellow and the green M&M car of the DDS team. Dimitri,
what does DDS stand for? Do you know?
Absolutely no idea, but I assume if someone knows, they'll put it in the YouTube chat, and please don't be writing anything too funny in there. Coming now, no commentator's curse, please. We'll have to wait and see. Mr. Luke Wilson will definitely be watching your every move and talking shit about you. We are focusing you as you'll be leaving the pits just because we can.
I wonder if you could do a reverse commentator's curse and say, Luke, I hope you don't do very well, and actually that means he does really well.
Ooh, I don't think we should be saying that either, because that could come off wrong. But Mr. Luke Wilson, all pressure on him leading the championship with only 5 minutes to go in qualifying. He'll be leaving the pits quite shortly. But again, a man of his standards, I would still expect him to qualify in the top 5 with less laps than the other drivers. But getting that car on pole now will be maybe a little bit difficult. Clemens Grohl in the Wild Things Racing number 13. I don't think that we have seen Denise on the server yet, which is a bit unfortunate. Oh, apparently no one can connect to the servers once again, as we had on the endurance event on Nordschleife again. Kunos just doesn't like us for unknown reasons.
That was a phenomenal save from Clemens then, if you saw that on stream. I think the camera angle doesn't give you the perspective of what that probably looked like from inside the car. I suspect that was quite a significant amount of opposite lock trying to keep that thing straight, and he did quite a good job there. He's currently pole in AM class.
Oh, that would be the rookie class, actually.
Rookie AM.
Oh no, it's
everyone knows
different.
what I mean.
It's because with the multiple tiers, then things get a little bit fancy here in the second tier, with the normal pro colors being the actual silvers and the normal silvers being the amateurs, and the normal amateurs then being the rookies. It's a little bit confusing, but it is what it is. following Mr. Phil Baracci, and he goes wide there. What we mentioned earlier, that's a difficult corner, and you gain a lot of time by being quick then getting your line right, but just a very small mistake by either the car understeering a little bit too much for you, or oversteering, or missing the apex by 30 centimeters, you will be off into the gravel trap on the outside that Mr. Phil Baracci he learned there of the FBL boys. Vladimir following around now. He did have provisional pole earlier on in this session. Yes, I think oh no, it's right there, my live timing. He is a little bit down on his provisional bit, or his current fastest lap time, but not by an awful lot. He could probably claw that in with a good final sector, as he already equalizes through the corkscrew. Goes through the rainy curve, even though it's not raining at all at Laguna Seca. It's very rare that we have wet weather racing around this track. Goes a little bit wide there through turns 10, I believe it is, through 11. He goes now onto the start. Jesus, yes. We are right back with the racing or qualifying 2 minutes to go. While we have been gone, Daniel Hummels have put himself into third position, and yeah, good lap time for him. We do see all top 4 in the pits. They could potentially still make it out and around to start one final flying lap. We'll have to wait and see about that, though it is unlikely at this point that they will try and re-exit the pit. Luke Wilson on the stream right now as we speak, about to finish his first flying lap, I do believe. Let's see how far up the order he jumps.
P1.
Pole position, of course it is. Of course. God damn it, Luke. We were just hoping that someone else could take it for once, but Luke Wilson goes pole position, a provisional pole with 1 minute 21 seconds to go. He could potentially actually sneak in 2 more laps, I do believe. But we'll have to wait and see. The rest of the top 4 are currently in the pit lane, so it'll be up to Chris Haas, Vladimir, Phil Baracci, Brits Mavida, Vince. No, not Vince, he's in the pits as well, and Van der Linden to beat him out. Van der Linden starts his final lap as we are speaking in the THRC Ferrari. The Dutch driver, of course, in the number 14 car. Very nice livery as well. Very inspired by the old, by the Golf liveries of old, that Chris Hill probably remembers quite well from his youth, when the Ford GT40s was running, and now he's saying thank you in the background for not putting him at an older age, but it is what it is.
Look at the gap between P2 and P4, specifically between P3 and P4. That's so close. I'm surprised that neither the 99. Oh, that's a
big spin there from Van der Linden. That's qualifying over from him. He will not be improving from his lap time.
Yeah, I'm just wondering. I'm surprised that the Aston Martin number 99 and Hummel in the car didn't go for another run there. They probably had time, but yeah, it's unlucky. Look how close they are.
Me too, but there is a tire limit, although I do believe there's 10 sets of tires available for free practice qualifying and race, but if they use too many in practice, they might not have had enough fresh sets to go qualifying again if they want to do the pit stop strategy in the race or the tire change strategy in the race. Following Mr. Draper at the minute, who is very close to improving on his current best time, currently P13. Not a lot of drivers out there who potentially could still improve or set lap times. I know that Michael Hosinga is improving quite a bit down in P24 at the minute, though I don't think it will be enough to throttle him up the order as he goes wider, and qualifying is therefore over. Which means that we could probably do a very quick grid rundown. Also, a fun fact that Luke Wilson doesn't have fastest sectors in any of the sectors around the track. He just managed to get it hooked up very nicely when he was driving. Anyways,
yeah, he's very happy in the YouTube chat.
The grid order will look like this. In pole position, we have Luke Wilson, Mr. Bonjours, in second position on the outside of turn 1 for lap 1. He will be trying to get a good launch and beat out Luke Wilson in the start, as it is very difficult to overtake around here. Finnemer and Hummel lines up behind them. in 3rd and 4th respectively. Also 4 different manufacturers in the top 4. Next up would be Vladimir in 5th and Chris Haas in 6th. Bill Baracci and Blitzmer lines up behind them, with Vida and Vince rounding out the top 10. Iron van der Linden, by the way, Iron will be P3 in that would be the AM class. Lines up with Craig Hill next to him in 11th and 12th. Mr. Draper and Hub next to or behind them in 13th and 14th. Cohen Geens and Michael DeGore 15th and 16th. Dimitri Schenk and Franz van der Linden in 17th and 18th. Waymans takes pole of the rookie class in 19th overall with Peter Brooklet behind him. Next on the grid in 21st and 22nd would be Grohl and Max Spooner, 2nd and 3rd in the rookie class, with 4th place in class. David Gallant lining up behind them with Hosinger next to him. Ian van Dosberg, 25th. Ferris 26th and Blitzmer in 27th. Small grid this time, as there seems to be issues for some drivers getting onto the server, unfortunately, for this race. But that is the pecking order of the race, or at least the starting order of the race. So we'll have to wait and see. I think the fun fact, let's hope that no drivers will leave for fresh tires and come back in. Is being mentioned in the chat. Yes, that is something that you could do, though technically not allowed and would be heavily frowned upon to do so. But yeah, that would be unfortunate if anyone was trying to do that. Maybe Jesse Van Dryle have done that, as he actually isn't on the grid. It looks like he couldn't rejoin during qualifying. That is quite unfortunate for Van Dryle and his championship aspirations. Maybe something will have to be looked into after the race in regards to that, but that's a talk for another day and another time, as we are slowly getting ready for the race start. I do think we have time for a quick track guide if Chris will have that ready in the background. If he haven't already shut down stuff like that to prepare himself for the great race. Yes, we are putting a lot of pressure on Mr. Chris Hill for the possible track guide. As we get the track guide going, coming on to the start-finish straight, the longest full throttle section on the track, going into turn 1, which is this slide kink right here we have in front of us before the Andretti hairpin. Turn 2, double apex corner, good overtaking opportunities, different lines can be taken through the corner. Interesting to see what will happen in the race. Small run into turn 3, you could be side by side coming out of Andretti into this one. Sausage curb on the inside that you want to avoid, using all the curb on the exit of the corner. Into turn 4, again you want to use the curb on the inside, but don't hit that sausage curb and don't put 2 wheels on the left hand side of the exit curb. In that corner, turn 5, very banked corner. As you can see, the robot in line looks a little bit different on this, especially on the exit here, as it would on most flat corners. Up the hill to another difficult corner. Once again, using all the track, but trying to avoid the sausage on the inside before the Rahal straight, where we could potentially see overtakes coming into the corkscrew, of course. Turns 7 and 8 and 8A, the corkscrew, as we see here, big drop when you turn into the left hander of the first part of the corkscrew before the right hander, where the car can get very loose. Turn 9, the rainy curve, a corner we've also in history seen a lot of cars go wide there before we come into to turn 10. Not as difficult, but very important, because if you mess this one up, the big braking zone into turn 11 could be an overtaking opportunity for cars behind. Final corner of the track. Use all the track available for to get the best possible run down the start-finish straight. That was a lap around Laguna Seca. Wow, we just managed to sneak that in for once. Not that often we do that, with 8 seconds until formation lap. Perfect timing, I suppose.
And the track's got a little bit hotter here as well. It's up to 23 ambient, 30 track now. So I wonder how many drivers have noticed that and have adjusted their tyre pressures to suit. Because I think, like you said earlier, there's not a huge amount of tyre wear here, but if you get the wrong tyre pressures, that can be quite quite detrimental to your race. But as you can see
Yeah,
now, they're starting to pull off for the formation lap.
it would be very painful. And do remember out there to hit the like and subscribe button, and for live notifications of when we go live, hit the bell button as well, as the cars start roaring around the track for the first time here in the race session, though it is just the formation lap. Let's wait and see what happens. A track that is quite known for having first lap incidents, as basically the entirety of the first lap is possible for the cars to be run very close. They don't really have to file into single file until the corkscrew. And even after that, if two drivers go side by side, it can cause a massive concertina effect that will lead into NASCAR formation through the entirety of the first lap. But let's see what Luke Wilson, Mr. One-Shot Qualifying, can do from pole position in this race. He'll be under heavy pressure from Mr. Bonjours in second and Hummel in third. Hummel, I do believe this is his best qualifying all season by quite a lot, actually. I think he have been into the top 10 before, but not this far up the grid. Well, can you upload the liveries for the SSRI races on the SSRI GT3 livery channel? Although you do have to be a premium member for those to be added to the game and shown live on the broadcast. And Chris Hill could probably explain to me in the background how to do that, become premium member, but we can do that after the race. The slowest the cars will be running through the corkscrew all day, as it looks like they have already started going double file in the front of the grid, lining up for the race. Full focus. It is a short formation lap around Laguna Seca.
I'm excited for this one. It's going to be good.
Me too. Anything can happen in this race. Now the drivers are trying to get the final temperature into the brakes. Maybe not tight. Looks like that Bonjours is not all the way up next to Luke Wilson, which is a bit surprising. He should be on the side of Wilson as he is coming now. Last bit of temperature in the brake, trying to hit the optimum temperatures from the drivers. We can see some accelerating brakes, some just keep one foot on the brake. Lining up as we are getting ready for the 75 minutes of Laguna Seca here on the second tier of the SSRI GT3 Championship. As we are about to go racing, we are racing! Good launch from Bonjours. It looks like he'll try the run on the outside of Luke Wilson into turn 1. Vladimir as well for somewhat decent launch in the Porsche further down the field. Does look like that Wilson takes full advantage of the inside line and keeps the lead there. Vladimir shoots up into to fourth momentarily as Finema defends nicely and keeps position. Two cars already causing an issue on the start finish straight, not even making it to the first corner. Looks like that's the 4, 5, 4 and the 13 car. Unfortunate for those guys, as Wilson have taken the start with Bonjours behind, and I think that's maybe Phil Baratti behind in the black Aston Martin. No, that's Finema and the black Aston Martin, the 99 Aston Martin, not the 95. But what a gap they already got from Wilson and Bonjours through the corkscrew. Good angle here where we can really see the cars dropping down through the corkscrew the first time. A little bit wide there from one of the McLarens that could lead an opportunity for the Sim Racing Holland entry behind him, as almost the entire field have gone past us now. After one lap of racing, Luke Wilson still leads, but under severe pressure from Mr. Bonjours. This could be Mr. Bonjours' chance to get the win and snatch points off of Luke Wilson. He dives to the inside, goes Bonjours into turn 1 of lap 2. They do make it cleanly through. Is this an overtake for the lead? It does look like Bonjours gets it done. New race leader Bonjours takes it away from Luke Wilson. Not very often we see Luke Wilson not leading a race. We haven't seen this without being a reverse split race since the first round of this championship, where Jesse Van Dryle had the race win basically in the back until he got collected in an incident. Bonjours have taken it away from Luke Wilson. It's now Porsche leading, Lexus leading, Aston Martin in third, with the Porsche of Vladimir coming right behind those guys in this 4-man train for the lead of the race.
Yeah, that was a great move up into P1. He knows he's going to be under pressure from Luke now. Luke's going to want that spot back as he looks to the outside there going into the corkscrew,
Yeah,
but
but
decides
it
to
looked
back
like
out
that
of it.
that Luke thought twice about that. He did have the overspeed, but opted not to go for a crazy launch into to the corkscrew. See a car running slightly wide there. Although most of the cars does seem to be making it every time. You have to pay to see liveries in the races, is that correct? You just have to pay to get your own livery into the races. You can always download the liveries of the other cars on the SSRI Discord. But after 2 laps of racing, Bonjour's leads. Vladimir have taken the fastest lap of the race, currently P3 in the race. Though he does have quite a bit of a gap up to Luke Wilson, about a second, but it does look like he gets a better run through turn 1 there. Phil Baratti further down in a big battle with the other Aston Martin of Finema and Hummel in 3rd position in the in the Lamborghini, just up ahead of them. Chris Haas trying to keep up in the Audi behind in the background of this this picture.
You can see now, just after a couple of laps, how tight the pack remains. Although it does look like it's splitting into 2 packs there on the track map. But yeah, certainly lots of battles to be had here, and it'll probably stay this close all the way throughout the race. And it's going to be interesting to see what people do in terms of timing for their pit stop, as this looks like he was. No, he's backed out of that. I thought he was going to go for a move around the outside into the corkscrew, but
it does look like Phil Baratti have more pace in his Aston Martin than Finema in the 99. Phil Baratti is also a silver class driver, and Finema an amateur. That might be some of the pace difference we see.
Yeah, for sure, and I think it's going to be interesting to see when people come in to do their pit stop, because actually you need to time it right, because the pit stops relatively short, but the track's also relatively short, and you don't want to come out in traffic if you can help it. So timing of the pit stop's going to be interesting, but we're quite a way away from that yet. But,
the first off in the corkscrew as well in the race. Yeah, that's a good point. Getting out and clean air is very important, and especially for these drivers in the 2nd tier. For those who are opting for a tire change, we have seen so far this season in the 2nd tier of SSRI that the undercut seems quite strong for these drivers, as there might be some quite aggressive tire settings on some of the cars. And if you are opting for a tire change anyway, then you might want to run a something close to a qualifying setup for the race, as if you know that your tires only have to last 45 minutes. Then you won't be hurting as much as if you had to last them for or even less, only 37.5 minutes. As a big mistake there from Hummel, leaves the door open on the inside for Finema, who does try it coming up to the corkscrew. It looks like almost side by side. Will this end in tears, or does they figure it out? They figured it out, and Finema falls in behind. But that meant that Phil Baratti had to check up a little bit there. That brought Chris Haas right back into this in the Audi behind this small train of cars.
Yeah, I thought that was game on then for a move up the inside into the corkscrew, but quite a smart idea to settle it there. You don't want to have an accident this early on in the race and end up near the back of the pack, especially when you're on for a podium at the moment, or at least chasing for a podium.
Surely you don't want that, but the thing is that if you feel like you have the pace to get through, then you just have to do it. On this track, it might have to get somewhat dirty to get an actual move done. If someone makes a mistake, it's easy for them to close up and make it impossible for you to overtake, even after making a slight mistake around here, as there are not that long of a run between any of the corners. As we do have a replay of what happened in the corkscrew. First instant, that's a Kroll, and one of the DDS drivers, Kroll, goes through, and whoop. It looks like he got a little bit of a slide on there. That wasn't Kroll, but it looks like a little bit of a slide there. Maybe contact, hard to say. Definitely contact after the slide happened, but whether or not that they had contact before that, I couldn't really say from this angle. It was Van Drasberg who got into that spin, it looked like. With Daniel Hummel still keeping 4th position, with Vladimir up in 3rd. Vladimir leading the AM Champions, or leading the AM race at the minute, with Luke Wilson still applying a ton of pressure to Bonjour's, and Vladimir right behind in his Porsche. These two Porsches do look very strong around here. Yeah,
Luke Wilson's in a Porsche sandwich at the moment, isn't he? And I think trying to he's in an awkward spot here where he's got to attack and defend at the same time. So hopefully he's got the pace to to not have to worry too much about defending, but at the moment he is getting a lot of pressure from P3. That gap is not getting bigger, and he's going to be after that P1 spot as soon as he can, but no doubt that's going to be a challenge to take the P1 back off the Porsche.
It sure will, depending on strategies, of course. Whether or not that Luke is going for the tire change, not we'll have to wait and see. Same goes for Bonjours and Vladimir, of course. But it could be the deciding factor on this race, whether or not that you take the tires, and even if you just take fuel, how much fuel do you need to take when you go into the pits? How much fuel did you start with, and how much fuel did you use on average per lap? Bonjours could probably run out there and do a little bit of lift and coasting on some areas of the track to try and get a shorter pit stop time by having to fuel less in the areas where you won't expect an overtake to come. But of course, same goes for the cars behind, even though that they will have to try and stay as close to Bonjours as possible. So that could be interesting to see later on in this race. Further down the field, the action is still going on with Frans van der Linden in the Sim Racing Holland team behind Wouter Vince in the DDS McLaren. A triple McLaren group here with Cohen Geens right behind in another DDS, I believe he's driving. So Frans van der Linden a little bit in a DDS sandwich, it looks like. Hello Steve Parker, good to see you. I thought you'd be racing, honestly. But good to see all these cars out there. They will definitely be going at it. Frans van der Linden are known for being a quite good overtaking driver. So whether or not that he can find a way to go through Wouter Vince in this race, that's going to be the big question. Of course, the three drivers who are battling here are all Dutch drivers.
Well, that was a big
slide there.
Good catch. Yeah, it's an interesting one, isn't it? You've almost got to line yourself up for that overtake. You need to be thinking 2 or 3 corners ahead to try and get it done. I think on a track like this, it's not a case of see a gap and go for it. I think you've got to plan a little bit, and that takes a bit of skill and a bit of experience. And you can see here the pressure that Luke is under at the moment from Vladimir.
A little bit of a slide there from Vladimir, and actually could have potentially kept the run on Wilson there all the way into this area. As Luke Wilson did look to have a little bit of an awkward line through the corkscrew, slightly defensive, and he lost some time to Mr. Bonjours in the lead. But Glenn Finema have caught up to Hummel once again in the battle for 4th position. And I do think that Finema will want to go through here as Wouter Vince comes in for an early pit stop. Maybe to take fuel and get some clean air running. A strategy that Denise Pope would definitely have been doing if she was racing, I do feel like. Dimitri Schenk also apparently left the server and got out, but for some reason, and is in the YouTube chat now. Oh, he had a game crash, Mr. Schenk, unfortunate for you. But hello Dimitri as well, good to see you following the race on here. But Glenn Finema applying a ton of pressure on Hummel. He does seem a bit quick at the minute, and for Finema he will need to get through as quickly as possible if he wants to catch up to the leading group of Bonjours, Wilson and Vladimir in the top 3 positions. But this thing, it's trying to get it set up correctly. You have to sort of put the pressure on the car ahead to force him into a slight mistake, and then keep him on the defense for a few corners before you get a proper run into it. Oh, you're in Mallorca, only have 20 kilos of blocks. You could have definitely put a laptop and some racing equipment in there. You could have brought a controller and a laptop, Steve Parker. We would have liked to see that.
It'd be like Max Verstappen. Maybe this is the move for Finema now. He's going to maybe look to the inside here into T1, or maybe even the outside. Or is he too far back? No, he's a little bit too far back. But he looks like he's got
there's a car off in after the rainy curve there. Jumps back to the garage. I think that was the 28 of Vida, who seems to have retired from the race after some sort of a spinner incident back there. Whoop, a little bit of slide there from Finema. Back up to the leading group, or at least the second and third battle. They're catching up to back marker traffic. That's the DDS of Wouter Vince. They have passed there as he have already taken his pit stop, doing a good job of getting out of the way of the leaders. As Luke Wilson is under heavy pressure, but Luke is a smart driver. He knows that there are not many places that you can actually get the overtake done around this track. that new Camus is wheel plus space in one. Right, perfect for the holidays. It would definitely be Mr. Dimitri Sink. You should probably have mentioned that to Steve Parker beforehand, as we see Vladimir getting a big slide there, allowing the back marker to catch right back up there, but he will be a little bit optimistic if he wants to try and go for an unlapping situation here. So he would probably interfere quite a bit with the racing up in the front of the field of this one, but we would expect Vladimir to make the gap to the back marker at this point and pull away ever so slightly.
Yeah, this could benefit the back marker quite a bit actually. If he sits behind these cars and gets a bit of a slipstream, he might find himself a tenth or two a lap compared to what he might have had before. I know there's no majorly long straights, but it might make a little bit of difference when it comes to an overcut, or an undercut, sorry.
It could definitely do that. I wonder if he forgot to put racing fuel into his car, and that's why he got in early, but he just made the early special dash when he knew he had enough fuel to make it to the end of the race. Anyways, Craig Hill applying pressure on Phil Baracci, the 95 Aston Martin leading this train, but Frank Hopp right behind them as well, putting the pressure on Hill. Phil Baracci goes very wide there. Will Craig try it on the inside? This is a move and a half. He does manage to get it done. As he goes a little bit wide, then Phil Baracci comes right back at it. Will Frank Hopp take advantage as well? Go around the outside, maybe into the corkscrew. No, he lifts and backs out of it. Smart move from Frank, but the move could have definitely been on there. Little bit of an awkward line now from Craig Hill. This could give an opportunity for Frank Hopp. Down through the rainy curve we go. But not close enough from Frank there, opting to just keep it safe at the minute. With still just over 1 hour of racing left this evening.
Yeah, this is a great little battle going on here, isn't it? Frank Hopp's going to want to sit in that slipstream, and so is Craig as we come down into T1. Is he going to look for the move here? He got it done earlier, but had the switcheroo going. They are going to go
Craig Hill on the inside. Into turn one, into the Andretti hairpin. Phil Baracci goes wide, leaving as much room as possible. This will be who can get on the throttle the earliest. Craig Hill have it at the minute, but Phil Baracci will have the inside into the next corner. Phil Baracci retakes the position. Frank Hopp comes now with overspeed. Will he attempt something? No, he backs out and shows endurance pace, but he does make contact there with the WRT car. Craig Hill got spun around. Frank Hopp gets that done, and as it looks like Frank Hopp is waiting for Craig Hill. As Craig will have to wait quite a while to get back racing again. Big gap now. Now he's moving, dropping all the way from 9th and down to 16th position there. Frank waiting as the good sportsman he is for Craig to go through, as Craig is back up to 15th. Very, very unfortunate situation. It looked like that Craig was leaving the room from Frank initially, but then turned in. Though Frank definitely wasn't far enough alongside Craig there to demand the racing room, so big unfortunate there.
Yeah,
and
that
yes,
was
we all had a heart attack the first time we saw C Hill on the timing board, as who would have thought Chris would ever return to sprint racing. It would be a massive job if he could control the cameras and drive at the same time, to be honest, and that would be some serious multitasking that I would applaud from now on until I died, basically, but it is what it is. Bouncer Blitzme applying the pressure to Chris Haas. This is what it would look like if Chris Hill was driving a McLaren, except that Chris Hill have not parked it in a wall yet, as we would expect of Mr. Hill. But Blitzme trying to catch up to Haas. Let's just have a little bit of a time on board here with Blitzme and have a look on the inputs. We see some dirt being kicked up there in front of him, being very smooth through the corner. Just a few centimeters of spare room. Going through that, taking the ideal line, hits the brakes nicely, turns into the corkscrew. Takes all the first couple. It's difficult one, the second part of the corkscrew, as you can't really see what you're turning in for, but well, at this point I think everyone... Ooh, there's a car going off in the foreground. That's the DDS car of Mountain Vincent. Looks like that he got a little bit of a tank slapper on maybe there, or maybe he touched some gravel and slid out. Big crash from Mountain Vincent. He will definitely come into the pits for a second time to repair some damage after that, I think.
I've just noticed that we've got a new purple lap as well, which has been, which is for Rudimetkin, which I'll probably pronounce wrong,
Yeah,
but the number
Mr.
12 Porsche
Vladimir.
P3.
Yeah, he has actually had that the entirety of the race, but whether or not that he just improved it, looks like he might have done.
I think I thought P1 had purple. Maybe I've misread it, but he's actually not in. He's not in the top class either, which shows the pace that he's really got at the moment. Sat in P3.
Yeah, he is an AM driver in this championship. It does seem it's quite a bit of a mixed grid with the AMs and pros in the top 5, with 2 AMs sneaking in there. It is a good. It is a matter of tracks in the second tier of racing when it comes to these separations of tiers, of divisions of the drivers. Even though that you might be an AM or even a rookie driver, you might have a track or two where you are quick enough to run right up there with the silver class drivers, as we see Vladimir is doing today, and Finamar as well in the top 5. We even have had amateur drivers win earlier. This is what happened to Wouter Vince. Let's have a good look on what happens to him. A little bit curb, gets on there a little bit too much traction, just clips a tiny bit of the grass there, or the sand, we should say, around this track, and yeah, that puts him into a wall, and with a full tank of fuel, that's difficult to recover. Another car causing a yellow. That's the 37 car in the final corner, and the 188 on the Rahal straight. We are going right into happy hour now. It seems like for incidents, the 217 also driving slowly. That's Frank Hubb's car. Quite a few incidents on the track, though most of them seem to be solo incidents, at least looking at the track map, thinking that. Michael Hunsinger, one of the drivers who just had a little bit of an off there, unfortunate for him. James Draper up here with 2 drivers right behind him. I think he just made an overtake maybe on Waymans and Iron van der Linden, who are duking it out for 13th at the minute. The rookie race leader of Waymans, I think he's 3rd in the championship at the minute, and this could a good result here could promote him into 1st, depending on results of the other drivers, of course. Current leader in the rookie class, Max Spooner, 2nd in the class at the minute. That was close there from van der Linden and Waymans. This is a thing when we go racing in the second tier. In the first tier, we might see people being very equal in lap times and having equal sectors all around. But in the second tier, if you have equal lap times, it might be because that one driver is way quicker in the first sector and the other way quicker in the third one, maybe equal in the second. And that's what makes this tier of racing so interesting to watch, especially in these sprint configurations, even though we do a 1 hour 45 or 1 hour 15 minute race, which is sim racing terms, not a sprint anymore for unknown reasons, but a regular race.
Yeah, van der Linden's one of the good. He's going to want to try and get past here, isn't he, as quickly as he can, but he's not going to let that happen. Wiseman's in front of him. He's going to hold up van der Linden as long as he possibly can and hang on to that P1 in class. But he looks like the move might be on here up the inside. Nope, the door's been shut. The Aston Martin has got great acceleration as well. I'm not sure the Ferrari's quite going to get past there. But yeah, this move might be on shortly. We might see van der Linden make the move up to P13.
And the thing is, even though that they are in different classes in the race and competing in those 2 championships mainly, there's also something called the overall championship in this tier of racing. And that might be the reason why Waymans is defending this bravely of Van Linden, also, although it doesn't actually look like Waymans is defending that hard. He's just basically driving his lines and doing the best he can in the races. We do have a back marker ahead of them now.
It's difficult if you're a back marker here. It's difficult to let people past as well without potentially making a mistake, like we've seen there with a little bit of grass. In fact, they've gone side by side through there, and van der Linden's actually been sort of held up there. Not much he could have done. But you'll be let go into the final corner there. But that's just cost van der Linden a little bit of time. That's benefited the Aston Martin 111 car.
Yeah, that's just how it goes around this track here. Tom Ferris, he didn't have really much of a chance there to let both of them go at once without losing too much for himself. So it is what it is. But Iron van Linden already right back at it on Waymans in the battling here for 12th position, as Craig Hill is catching up in the background as well. He's the next one who will have to put Ferris a lap down. in this race. Craig Hill could be interesting if he catches up to these, as he was running way further up the field earlier, so we know that he does have the speed and pace for it. So he could be applying the pressure on the rear of Van der Linden, while Van der Linden will be trying to apply the pressure to Waymans up ahead of him. Further up the field, Chris Haas have once again caught up to Finnemar, who have dropped a lot of time to Hummel as of late, now 4 seconds behind him. Might have been a slide off, or they might have ran into back marker traffic as well. As they start their next lap, their 16th lap, I do believe that they have gone on to. At this point, yellow flag, it's a 168 car. Once again up in the corkscrew. Who are the 168? That's Craig Hill. That's Chris's famous name brother. That's unfortunate. He was catching quite nicely up there to Iron Van der Linden, as he have now dropped into 16th position. But this means that he'll have to overtake the second placed car in the rookie championship. That's the Lexus of Max Spooner. That looks like it does have a little bit of front damage, that Lexus of Max Spooner. At least that bodywork doesn't seem to be sitting exactly as it's supposed to, we should say.
Yeah, I wonder if Craig bottomed out a little bit coming down the corkscrew. If you attack it at a slightly off angle, you can sort of bounce the car off the floor a little bit, which can cause it to lose balance and create a spin. But yeah, he's got to get back. He's got to get past Max now, and Max looks like he has got a bit of damage.
But they're speeding in the pits.
Yeah, that's unfortunate. If
Yeah,
Ben Mullard's watching, I'm not going to say anything.
Nothing. A little bit of duct tape can fix on Spooner's car. Spooner just lets the Francorchamps go, as Spooner knows that he's currently leading the rookie championship, and he will not be battling people outside of his class, trying to think smart of it, not risking any incidents there. But this is a little bit of a tricky pit lane on Laguna Seca. If you haven't practiced it, then the pit board does come up quite early, even though you do have a good vantage point of it when you're entering the pit lane. It does come quite early into the pits before you turn the corner, so that's something to look out for the drivers, although we do expect that people have practiced that pit lane entry, of course, to gain themselves a little bit of an advantage in the race.
Yeah, I'll be honest, this was the first, last week when I raced here, was the first time I've ever raced at Laguna Seca. I thought I should probably practice the pit lane entry and exit, and needless to say, I had quite a shock when I entered the pit lane, and it was a left-handed 90-degree corner. I was like, oh, okay, and I ended up in the wall. So yeah, it took me a couple of attempts to get used to it. And the pit exit as well, need to be careful there, because if you go a bit too fast on the pit exit, you can end up on the racing line and across a bit of sand, which is not great either.
No, that is very unfortunate when you do that, but that have happened to me as well quite a few times, trying to be a little bit optimistic there, going through the exit there. Mr. Anderson, the DDS Racing boys are not Dutch, then what the hell are you? Oh, you might be Belgium then. Honestly, who cares, it's the same. I just actually been to Belgium last weekend, so I should have known better, obviously knowing the Belgium names all of a sudden, and eating the waffles and drinking the beer. Great country, by the way. Although I've also been to the Netherlands, great country as well. Not saying that any other countries are less great. North Korea. Nevertheless, Van der Linden still not getting through Waymans in the battle for 12 overall in the race, as people have started to pit. Might be the tire changers that tries the undercut strategy, even though that there's a big chance of getting out into traffic, as the cars have spread out quite a bit around this track.
Yeah, I think he'll get past in the next couple of laps, but I'm wondering if Van der Linden, if he is taking tyres this race, might be considering a pit stop around now, just to try and see if he can get past him. He's got a bit of an issue if he's on full fuel and going for the length of the race and going to do a splash and dash at the end, because he's going to have to make the overtake happen on track rather than in the pit stops. Although the gap has just got slightly bigger, so he needs to close that back up if he's thinking of making a move.
Yeah, and it's the thing, if Van der Linden is taking tires, then he wants to do the undercut for sure, but they are actually catching up to Michael de Galway right ahead of them, who is getting into the picture from time to time. You can just see him up there in his Aston Martin, 5th in the AM category at the minute in the championship, but 3rd in this race, ahead of championship leader Iron Van der Linden, who seems to be getting a much better line there through the rainy curve. than Wayman's, and that might be one of the things that he might have to look into and try and get the run out of the rainy curve as he goes for the move into the final corner of the track. Solid decisive move there from Iron van der Linden, and the door was left wide open. I don't think that Wayman's was expecting an overtake coming into that corner, but look at this now. Wayman's does have a little bit of overspeed coming into the Andretti hairpin, goes for the inside line, but is it enough? No, it's not enough to get the position back. So now Iron van der Linden have been unleashed and can put in some lap times trying to catch up to Michael de Goray ahead of him and get onto the podium for the AM class, as Cohen Geens, the Belgium driver of the Belgium team, the DDS racing team, right on the rear of Mr. Phil Barati. Phil Barati, who have had good performances earlier this season, but dropped off a little bit. Maybe he was just very good at Spa for unknown reasons. But wide line there from Phil Barati as Cohen Geens opts for the much tighter inside line as we have a yellow flag once again in the corkscrew. That's the 65 car. That's Frans van der Linden. Frans van der Linden have gone off in the corkscrew. He will surely be dropping positions at the minute. The Sim Racing Holland driver cannot be happy with that. Already dropped into 13th position. As Cohen Geens still trying everything he can. He's trying the much tighter lines through the track. Van Linden spun it once again. He might have overheated those tires. Get out the racing line, man. He does do that very nicely there, as he now dropped behind his named brother Iron van der Linden in this race, and of course Wayman's as well. Further up the we'll back up to the battle for 8th position, which is the closest on-track battle at the minute between Cohen Geens in the FedEx liveried McLaren with the, I think that's a Toyota there on the back of it. That might be the NASCAR livery of Daniel Hamlin then, that they have tried to put onto a GT3 race car. Good livery and very soothing here in America. It's a very fitting livery design at least. And he'll trying to be delivering his car into 8th position and get that that magical spot there, which would actually be 6th in class, as there are 2 of the AM drivers ahead of Cohen Geens and Phil Barati at the minute. Those 2, of course, being Vladimir, I'm not even trying to pronounce that last name, in 3rd, and Glenn Finnemar in 5th position overall in the race at the minute. Looks like that Geens got a little bit of, well, again, the tighter lines from Geens. Some different driving styles from Geens and Phil Barati around this track. Which one will come out on top? We'll have to wait and see. It does look like that Phil Barati are taking the more tire-friendly lines. But we'll have to wait and see. We are getting into the point now. If you are planning on changing your tires, you could definitely go in for the undercut now, as the very optimum time to do come into the pits would be 37.5 minutes, as that would be the exact halfway point of the race. But you could definitely try for it now and get the undercut in, as there are some gaps opening up on track that you could potentially try and get out into.
Yeah, I think the win of this race might be down to strategy, and that's a big
moment. Phil Barati
there.
spins it. Phil Barati loses it on the exit of the corkscrew there, which promotes Geens into 8th. Oh, did he avoid the wall there, Phil Barati? He does get going again before Michael de Goray in 10th catches up to him. But he does lose the position to Cohen Geens, of course. But now de Goray is right in the back of Phil Barati. Actually did catch up, but didn't overtake. Hot tires now from Phil Barati. This could be de Goray's chance to get the overtake done and sneak onto the 9th spot in the race.
Yeah, he's going to have damage as well, which is going to make it really interesting to see how the car behaves for him.
Yeah, but did he hit that wall? I actually think that he stopped before the wall. It looked like he could also have bounced back from the wall, but Phil Barati there almost getting rear-ended by de Goray, who might have been just that half meter later on the brakes. But this could be very good for Iron van der Linden, speaking of, as he could definitely be catching up, as de Goray will be held up at this point. Oh, sorry, Phil Barati will be... Oh, yes, de Goray is what I'm trying to say, will be held up by Fibonacci at this point, at least until Fibonacci gets his tires under control again and gets them cooled down just a tiny little bit back into racing temperatures. As Chris Haas are still duking it out with Blitzmer. He's duking it out with Finema. Sorry, Finema and Chris Haas are duking it out still, with Haas ahead of Finema. Was it like this before as well? Have Haas made the move?
I wonder if he's going to be thinking about it.
I actually think that Haas have made the move because Finema was in P5 before, so Chris Haas has gotten himself into to the top 5 in the race.
He's also the only Audi on track, isn't he?
I do believe so. There used to be 2 Audis running in this tier 2 of racing. Maybe Chris is trying to find the replay of the overtake in the background. Sneaky there from Mr. Hill, not saying much in the back of our ears in this race. But Mr. Finema is will definitely be trying to stay with Haas and maybe get the re-overtake done. He still have a good chunk of time down to DeGore, who's 3rd in class. So he might just be consolidating the position at this point. Blitzmer will be the next car behind him for directly track position. Though it's about 5 seconds between Finema and Blitzmer at this point. So, but once again, pit stops will become very crucial in this race. Whoever executes the best will be will probably gain a few positions in a race like this. And with having the tier 1 race done last week, I do think a lot of these tier 2 drivers might have been looking at that race and trying to get some inspiration of what to do in a race like this. Here we go with the replay of what happened. This is Chris Haas, and Finema must have made a mistake as he's not even in the frame at this point. Yeah, Finema's off there in the gravel trap, and then Chris Haas comes up on the run through the corkscrew, and Finema just leaves the room as he is a very kind driver and does so there. Little bit of arty-barty there into the corkscrew as Haas gets pushed off and takes the position behind the trees they go, and Haas takes the position from that. But this could mean that Finema might actually have the speed to keep up with Chris Haas and maybe come back for the overtake. As they've caught up to back marker traffic, I think that's Tom Ferris ahead of them, doing Finema a little bit of a favor there, not letting Haas go at that point, come into the corkscrew. He also doesn't let them go. Slight contact there in the back of Ferris' car. He will have to obey the blue flags and get out of the way quite shortly. As both Haas and Finema, this could be the overtaking opportunity for Finema, as Haas will definitely become more and more frustrated at this point. A little bit of a contact there, got rear-ended. And that's the Tempesta Sky McLaren now sneaking into the frame. I don't think that's for position. That's P21, David Gallant, but Finema now behind Gallant as well. As Chris Haas now gets the lapping done. It looks like yes, I think that Haas gets it done this time on Tom Ferris. Now it's Glenn Finema who will have to try and do the same and get by Ferris as quickly as possible to not lose out, as it does look like that what's happening in the background. I think that Ferris might just want to get out of the way at this point.
Yeah, this is played into Chris Haas' hands really well, hasn't it? He's got a back marker holding up the person that was chasing him down, and Finema's going to want to get past as soon as he possibly can. You saw a flash of the lights there, probably in a little bit of frustration, if I'm honest, because he's been...
Bonjour comes into the pits. That could mean tire change for him as he comes in the halfway point. But the thing is, for Tom Ferris, what we saw that just before, where they almost had the contact, I think that Ferris got a bad exit there, and then with the closing speed of Finema, I don't think that Ferris knew which side to go to, as Finema had so much speed that if Ferris reacted first, then Finema would have been in a little bit of a difficult spot to try and avoid it. So maybe it was wise enough to do what they did originally, but we'll have to wait and see. But Bonjour's into the pits and Blitzmer as well. This is definitely tire change stops if they come in at this point. Elsewise, it will be a very strange fuel strategy they are running.
I think Ferris had a spin as well shortly after he got overtaken. He was white flagged for a short moment there, coming into the last sector. So I'm not sure what happened.
It could be, yes, Ferris still needs to take a pit stop also. But oh, this is the Gore Ray on Ferris. Yeah, Ferris also have damage on the front of his car. Whoop! As Ferris just lets the Gore Ray go there almost. There's a little bit of a slide there from the Gore Ray side, swiping into Ferris as Ferris shows him the flashes there. But this could be also a Bonjours have retaken or taken the fastest lap in the race, but he will be on a bit of a mission now if Wilson and Vladimir doesn't opt for a tire change in this race.
Yeah, I'm not sure what their strategy is. They've gone relatively long here, but they really, if they want to go splash and dash, you can. Well, I don't know about the Porsche or the Lexus, but in the McLaren you could pretty much go right to the end on fuel. So I suspect it's probably similar for those cars as well. So yeah, it'd be interesting to see what happens.
He did manage to clear a gap of about 5 seconds before the pit stops, and it will be in this second phase of the race where he'll be a lot quicker than Wilson and Vladimir. But whether or not that he can catch up the remaining roughly 20 seconds-ish that he will need to catch up to take over from the splash and dash, we will have to wait and see. He will have to do somewhat qualifying pace from this point on. But if he is a second quicker per lap than Wilson and Vladimir, he will probably get it done on strategy here. But we'll have to wait and see how this plays out, of course, near the end of the race. Iron van der Linden also comes in, could be a tire change as well at the middle of the race. Elsewise, I'll have to have a talk with him about how to do racing strategies after the race.
And I think it'd be interesting for the 219 Porsches to how much traffic they catch as well. So if the cars in front are going long, it could hinder his chances of maintaining that qualifying lap pace. But we'll see what happens. He's got a bit of a gap at the minute to what is P9.
Yeah, but he closed about 2 seconds in less than a lap to Waymans, who's currently ahead of him. We will probably get a bit of a following here on Bonjours for quite a bit of the race now, as he will definitely be involved in some overtaking from this point on till the end of the race. Same goes for some of the other guys who opted for the tire change. It does look like that Blisters, who took a very early pit stop in the race, getting into some clean air, have come out after this initial stopping round in 12th position, which is quite good for him, it looks like. Glenn Finnemar on the back of Chris Haas once again, after he got hindered a bit there by traffic earlier on.
Yeah, I wonder if that means that Finnemar is lapping slightly faster than Chris Haas at the minute.
I do think he is, as he was also quite a bit ahead of Haas before he had his little bit of an excursion, let's say, in the corner leading onto the Rahal straight. But yeah, a big portion of the grid actually chose to come in, have been into the pits already. Basically from 10th and down, there's only one car who haven't stopped yet, and that's Max Spooner in 11th position. So that means there's only 10 cars who are left to pit in this race, which is less than half the field. Which is a bit surprising considering how well the splash and dash strategy went for the tier 1 guys, but again, it is what it is, and we'll have to see what happens at the end of the race. We can only try and predict what's going on and do our best with our calculators and math and stuff like that, but we are not that good at that either.
I think it's tough being a driver here, isn't it? Because you're a driver, you're a spotter, you're an engineer, you've got to do maths on the fly. You know, there's a lot of things going through these drivers' heads at the minute, and not only have you got to focus on all those weird things.
How are you doing sprint races? You do all the calculations before the race, goddammit.
Yeah, but you adjust as you go around though, don't you? So you could have an incident ahead, or you could have a crash, and it might change your strategy a little bit.
Yeah, but then you already have you know how much fuel you need for the entirety of the race, and you knew how much you started with and how much going into the pit stop. So it's not that difficult. You're overcomplicating it. You're overcomplicating it. Maybe you should hire me as your spotter next time you go racing. As Waymans comes into the pits as well, could be tire change or just covering off positions. he did come in from the lead of the rookie class. He will obviously be handing that over to Max Spooner, as he's not stopping this time around, it looks like. But where he rejoins the track, we'll have to wait and see, as he is going again in the pit lane. He will almost be a lap down to these guys. Glenn Finnemar and Chris Haas, who is still yet to pit, which definitely leans towards the splash and dash strategy.
Yeah, I think if I was a betting man now, I think my money
would
probably still be on Luke Wilson to take the win here if he's going long.
Yes, but again, when the police asked me how many fingers he was holding up, I just told him I wasn't good at math. So I'm not going to do the calculations for that one.
Well, you just offered to be my spotter, so now I'm not sure if I want you to be my spotter.
Oh, you definitely do. I have a calculator, so it will work.
Ah, okay.
And some good spotting sheets, obviously custom-made for endurance racing. Yes, as Chris Hill is making bad jokes in the background that no one can hear in YouTube. Ha 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 for you guys. And Chris offers to switch his mic on, but we prefer not to, as who wants to be disturbed by the sound of Brit, except for obviously Mr. Potter, who's speaking with us as well. But
that was a good save, that was, Oliver. That was a good save.
I did my best. Normally we don't have British commentators on this channel for unknown reasons.
Skill issue.
Probably is. But
what is move on here, I wonder?
But a driver who doesn't have a skill issue is Chris Haas, still in 5th position in this race. Haven't put a foot wrong in the race, basically. Lacking a little bit of pace to the top guys, but that could just be the Audi being difficult to drive. Doing a good job of keeping Finnemar behind.
Yeah, he's doing a great job. He's actually P3 in class as well, isn't he? So he's currently on the podium. Although Finnemar's in a different class, chasing him down, he doesn't want to open himself up to Geens potentially chasing him down and taking that 3rd spot on the podium off him in class. Although, like you mentioned earlier, there's the overall points as well, so he's going to want to stay as far up as he possibly can to maximise points with only one round to go after this, well, one track to go after this.
Yeah, there'll be two races on that track, as there's a little bit of demand for a cameo of Chris Hill in the YouTube chat. I wonder if he's too shy to speak, or he'll just come on and say a word or two and then leave us again. I'm hearing that he is getting mic'd up in the background, so we might get a single word from Mr. Grandpa Chris Hill. The second one, I think, he is. People don't know what I'm replying to. Have you said a single word yet for the people, Chris? Oh yeah, I think you should say a word for the people instead of me having a conversation with myself. Although people are used to that at this point.
Yeah, there's a lot of chatter in the YouTube channel at the minute. Bring on that northern soul. Chris's voice is too sexy for the stream. The sexiness would kill the speakers of the viewers.
I wonder if Finnemar is listening to us speak now. If he is, then I highly recommend for him to go for an undercut there. I know that it will still be probably have to take this. He will have to take the same amount of fuel as he would later. He would have less time running on the lower fuel, but it does look like he's faster than Haas. And it does not look like that he can get the overtake done on track. Of course, he does risk getting into traffic by doing so, but I think that would be a viable option for him. As Mr. Bonsuas have caught up to Degore, as well as he will probably try and make that a short process. If we're lucky, we get a little glimpse of that on the stream. Here we go. He already got it done. We wasn't that lucky. Bonsuas into 7th, making short progress off Degore. Hummel comes into the pit with 28 minutes to go. Interesting to see where he'll come out on track in relation to Bonsuas.
Yeah, the strategies people are choosing is very, very interesting. It'll be really interesting to see sort of how that pans out towards the end of the race. I think
Geens into the pits as well.
Blue flag moving out the way, very nice.
Yeah, that's the Sim Racing Holland driver doing a good job of doing that. That could be Frank van der Linden.
It's a little bit twitchy there as he got back on the throttle. If you saw that in the background there, but you did quite well to save that and keep it on track.
It could be Huizinga because France has left Chris Hill, but France is still on the leaderboard. I can see in 17th position. So Chris just makes stuff up to try and make us all look like fools here in the commentary booth.
Sorry about that, everybody in YouTube. My fault. Bye.
Was that a cameo from Chris Hill? Ooh, now the YouTube chat must be going crazy, showing us 1 million likes on the broadcast. I think at least Chris deserves that to get some likes for saying a word or two. But yeah, Geens Hummel comes out to the track actually pretty well 8th if the timing board is correct at the minute. That would be nice for Hummel, as he would be still behind Bonjours, who is up into 5th, but still quite a long gap up to Luke Wilson in the front. Whoop! That's a Sim Racing Holland car going wide in the final corner in the background. But for Bonjours, the next cars on track to overtake will be Glenn Finnemar and battle here between Vaunter, Blishman, Cohen, Geens. It looks like they just went around Ferris, so it does seem to be getting a lot of camera time being left in this race. But Blishma ahead of Geens. Is Blishma a DDS driver as well? Just doesn't say in the... I do think he is a DDS driver. It just doesn't say underneath his name for reasons. Or he might not be, but nevertheless he is on the go. I wonder if someone on YouTube could answer that, whether or not that Blishma is a DDS driver or not. As Frans van der Linden have caught up to Max Spooner, as Spooner once again just lets the different classed car go through without too much. Vladimir into the pits from P2. This will be super interesting to see where he comes out in comparison to Bonjours.
Yeah, that's quite a late pit stop if he's taking tyres. I think he.
I don't think he's taking tyres as he's already moving again, and Bonjours is just going through the rainy curve. Wilson had about, what was it, 5 seconds more gap than or a 5-second gap to Vladimir before this, but it does look like Bonjours might actually get this one done and retakes virtual second position of the race before the pit stop rounds. Here we go through the first corner. Remember that Vladimir has a much tighter line through. Vladimir does seem to be getting out ahead. Maybe no Bonjours on the far outside line. It's going to be very tight on pit exit. Bonjours does get it done, and probably with a lot fresher tires than Vladimir at this point. Bonjours will have to put the foot down now. He knows that it's about 5 seconds he'll have to catch up to Luke Wilson, obviously depending on how much fuel Wilson takes when he comes in. And whether or not that Wilson will be taking tires, we don't know if Vladimir took tires, of course. If Vladimir took tires, then it's not that impressive from Bonjours, but this could be very decisive for the race, as he's likely guaranteed to finish at least second in the race at this point.
Yeah, Vladimir's on fresh tyres as well, so once they've got up to temperature, he's going to be putting the pressure on the 219 car. I think obviously on slightly more used tyres, having pit a bit early, so it's going to be really interesting. There's going to be a lot of pressure for Vladimir to try and catch him up. There's obviously about a second of a gap now, but yeah, we'll see what happens. But here's the battle for Chris Haas and Glenn Finnemar still going on for P2 and P3, although that's not net position because they have yet to pit.
Yeah, I think if Finnemar doesn't get this move done on Haas, then he will be having nightmares of that slide off he had earlier in the race where he gave up the position to Haas. That such a small mistake that could end up being a very race decisive.
And I wonder how much damage that spin might have cost to his tyres. I wonder if he's considering doing his pit stop now if he's changing tyres. I guess he's probably not thinking about it considering how far
he didn't spin, he just went wide in this very corner and got back on. Then they had a little bit of a bump up in the corkscrew.
Okay then. Yeah, he might be okay with tyres then.
So I don't think it's that horrendous for either Finnemar or Haas at this point. Finally, someone recognizing the Denny Hamlin design. Now, who drove the M&M one? Ooh.
We saw that.
Vince or Cohen. I was Cohen Geens who drives the M&M car. I do believe. Now Cohen Geens is the face car. Then it could be Round Vince in the M&M car. Oh, the M&M car.
Marshall Mathers?
No. No. Oh. Yeah, well, it's. We actually know who it is, but I'm not going to say as the YouTube chat can keep guessing, but I do know who it is when I'm told, at least. But yeah, I wonder if Wilson is looking on the gaps. So Vince is not DDS driver, that's another one. Yeah, well, you all have similar sounding names from that area of the continent. God damn it!
You can see on the track map there that Luke Wilson's starting to catch up some of the back markers as well. So I wonder if that's going to play into the hands of Vladimir and.
Yeah, but this could just mean that Wilson will come into the pits and take his stop early to avoid the back marker traffic, maybe.
Eventually, yeah.
That's at least what I would do if I was Mr. Luke Wilson at this point. But then again, it's only 2 back markers ahead of him. I would probably actually stay out as he's uncertain whether he will come out in worse traffic than that. I don't think he might actually come out in, no, I don't think he might actually come out in slightly worse traffic. But yeah, that might be one of, yeah, well, I don't have all my spotting stuff open. Chris Hill, who's asking questions in the background, so I actually don't know where he would come out, but it could be interesting. Well, it is interesting where Wilson will end up on track when he comes back from the pits. Only 21 minutes to go, and this could be the move from Finnemer. Finnemer comes onto the inside of Haas, and he does get the car stopped in time. The Haas leaves plenty of room for Finnemer. Finnemer coming with the overspeed, and Haas might just have consolidated the position, not trying to risk any kind of issues. Wilson into the pits.
Box
Wilson comes into the pits, serving his mandatory stop.
How big is the fuel tank on the Lexus? Just out of interest, I don't know if you know that.
That's track dependent, but I do think it's got a 120 liter around this track, and he's already moving. He will come out in the lead of the race. No one's even going to be close to him at this rate. Good stop there from Wilson. He can just cruise it home from this point on. It looks like, although if he relaxes too much, then Finnemer also comes into the pits as he just got the move done on Haas. Bonjour's in the start-finish straight now. Wilson already into turn 1, but then again, Bonjour's does have the much fresher tires, and that could be a deciding factor in this race. But yeah, we'll have to wait until they pass the first sector of this track to get an actual indication of the gap. We know it's 1.6 from Wilson to Haas. What is it from Haas to Bonjour's? Stop go 30 for Finnemer. That's very unfortunate for him. That will drop him quite far down the order. Then an additional 13.8. That's about 15 seconds. Bonjour's will have to catch up. That is going to be a bit of a tough ask there, but he does have much fresher tires. That could actually be possible if he can run just over 1 second quicker per lap. That's a Phil Bardacci who have had a little bit of a spin there coming out of maybe the pit. No, we haven't pitted yet, so out of turn 2 or turn 3 actually. Turn 4? No, turn 3 it was he. Sorry, turn 2 it was he got that little bit of a spin on. I'm just mumbling here in the background because of that's what you do when you don't know what to say. Support out in the chat for Hummel. We see in P6 at the minute. Doing quite well in the Fortune Honda Racing car this time. They did have some good results in the reverse grid race on the Red Bull Ring, but this time he drove from a very good qualifying that put him into a position where he could get this one home.
He could potentially get a podium here as well. Thinking about it in class, if Chris Haas boxes This is going to be very close between Hummel and Chris.
I
I think.
actually think he will come out ahead of, he will be ahead of Chris Haas when Chris comes into the pits. So yeah, this could be a podium in class for him. It could put. He would have to catch quite far up to get an overall podium to Vladimir, but it could be a podium in class for the 1400 driver who have driven a superb race so far. We haven't seen him make any mistakes. Not too much pressure. A little bit in the first half of the race from drivers behind, but for the last few minutes at least, he have been very unchallenged and just cruising the car around, just trying to make sure that he doesn't do any mistakes.
Venimer's come into service stop go 30, which is really unfortunate. It's going to drop him quite substantially down the order, as you can see there on the timing screen, as Daniel Hummel runs slightly wide but manages to keep it all in check coming up towards the corkscrew.
Yeah, for Venimer, he only made that one mistake in the race, getting wide, which caused him to get stuck behind Haas, and then the maybe trying to push a little bit too much into the pit lane, getting the stop go 30 there.
Yeah, he's actually come out P4 in class, which P11 overall, which in fairness, considering isn't...
Wait until he crosses the first timing line. Because sometimes the screws up now, he's dropping because other people are passing the timing line. 12
P12
minute.
now.
Is he behind the 111 car of Wayman's as well? No, it doesn't look like he's in 12, 2.6 seconds up to Blisters ahead of him. Could potentially catch up. Support for Brookland as well. No sleep till Brookland, of course. As Frank Hopp have caught up to Wayman's this time around. I don't think Wayman's will be defending this one too hard though. Frank is not known for being super aggressive on overtakes either, so he could potentially, if Wayman's keep this one home, but Wayman's are currently leading the rookie class, so I don't think that he wants to risk that honor in this race. Remember, the rookies are normally the ones who are most talkative after the race, as Cohen Geens goes side by side with Blitzmer, and does look like he gets the move done out of the final corner into the Andretti hairpin. He is far enough ahead that he can take the line that he chooses, and he does get it done. P7 now for Cohen Geens in the 711 car. Frank Hopp still behind Wayman. He might be looking for something, but he's not under pressure from behind Frank Hopp, and Wayman's is probably not either. Just whoa, Frank gets very much late on the brakes there. Behind them we have Bonjours, who is about to lap them. Currently third in the race, maybe virtually P2 I would say, as it's only Chris Haas ahead of him who haven't stopped, and only Haas and DeGore who are yet to pit.
Yeah, they might be running to the end here. I wonder. I'll be interested to see where DeGore comes out once he boxes. He's done a fantastic job, in fairness, and it's pretty hard to go for. They're going for an hour right now, and an hour of Laguna Seca. Speaking from experience, is quite a lot. With 15 minutes to go, I think last week in Tier 1 we did about 55, 56 laps of Laguna Seca.
I think that was the 99 car we saw there in the gravel trap of Glenn Finnemer, who's having a little bit of a downward spiral in the race coming into the later stages here. Maybe it's the tires that's starting to wear off a little bit too much for him. But Waymans is still keeping Frank behind. But then again, Waymans is just driving his lines. Yellow flags in turn 1. That's Wouter Blitzmer. Does seem to have some sort of wheel issue, maybe, as he's driving in a straight line all of a sudden before stopping. He might be retiring. Yeah. This looks like some sort of a wheel issue, a hardware issue, as he's just parked in a weird position.
Yeah, that doesn't look usual, does it?
And it was Frank Hopp. Let's Bonjours through. I think Waymans will likely be as just as kind to Bonjours as Frank was there.
We're still yellow flagged in Sector 1 as well. Doesn't look like he's managed to resolve that issue. And there's another yellow flag actually there from the 181 car. 188, I can't see what that is, sorry. And not sure what's happened there. But the gap from the 63 car has closed up quite significantly, but he looks like he's going again now.
That is all good. As Frank Hop gets the move done there, and then Waymans, after Waymans let Bonjour's past. As Frank Hop will probably be trying to stay with Bonjour's as long as he can. Though he does overcook it a little bit into turn 1 there, or does he? Or was Bonjour's just too early on the brakes? Mountain Blitzmer comes into the pit, so I've returned to garage after having caused the yellow in turn 1. Still Haas and Digore yet to stop. I would expect them to come in any minute now, at least within the next 2 or 3 laps.
I will say, and it's not really relevant at all for position, but Chris Haas is actually closing the gap up on Luke Wilson very slowly, but he's closing the gap up. Although Chris is obviously yet to box. And there's a bit of an off there coming down the corkscrew from Geens.
Yeah, that's unfortunate for him. He drops 1 position to Iron van der Linden, who all of a sudden finds himself in a good position once again in the race. Iron opting to take the tires in the pit stops we knew from the early stop from him. And this could see him into. He did pit from. I think. Yeah, I actually think that he will gain positions in his class from that. Obviously, depending on where Digore comes out on track, but he is right there in it. Although he have been lapped by Luke Wilson at this point of the race, which could also be good. That means that he'll have to do 1 less lap around the track than the race leaders.
Yeah, it's a pretty tough track on your arms and your wrists, this Laguna Seca, especially if you're running high force feedback on the sim. I was pretty tired after the Tier 1 race last week, so I'm sure these drivers are getting to that stage now where fatigue starts to kick in. But they're trying to focus. They're trying to make up those last few positions, and we've seen from some of the incidents that have happened just how quickly things can change around. You know, you can go from P5 to P30 just from one off. You do well to go to P30 in this race because there's nobody in P30, but you know what I'm saying.
I know what you're saying, Mr. Slim Shady. James Draper in 20th position. He is the last counter track of the cars that are still running, but he is actually in a battle with Huizinga for this for 19th at the minute. Both McLaren drivers, 1 quarter Mars Motorsport car, 1 Sim Racing Holland car. With 10 minutes to go, which of these McLarens will come out on top? It's actually from 17th and down, it's all McLaren this race. No McLarens are doing particularly well this race. It looks like that Draper have some sort of a run there, but backs out of it. But a lot of McLarens in the bottom part of the race. Only Max Spooner breaks it for Franz van der Linden not to make it all McLaren in from 16 down. Then only Cohen Geens right up there in the front. But Blitzman did do well early in the race, of course. But still going, but well, he's not going anymore, Blitzman in the pits. But a side-by-side action here from James Draper, trying the move on Blitzman. This could potentially go to the wire for these 2 McLaren cars, giving us quite a bit of track action here in the end.
Supported in the YouTube chat for James as well, from Braymeister. Says, "Come on, James." We'll see what happens here. There's half a second in it as they go down towards turn 1.
Yeah, but one thing is being faster around this track. A whole nother thing is getting the overtake done. It is very difficult around here. But with that pace that James Draper is showing at the minute, it doesn't seem to be long before it happens. And there it happens as Huizinga gets a little bit of a slide on the exit of turn 3. And then James Draper just shoots it around the outside, or inside technically, for the next corner. Yeah, and Jesse Van Dryle manages to join the server, which means that he will not have a DNS after all. He will be 47 laps down. Very unfortunate for Van Dryle, but he will probably go out on track just to make sure he doesn't get DNS'd. Very unfortunate for Van Dryle in the championship standings, as well as he was second in the championship before this race. That could change very quickly once the standings gets updated after the stewards have had a closer look on this race, probably Thursday, but it might not happen until the weekend. We'll have to wait and see. But Draper got the move done there and already pulled out quite a gap on Heusinger for 19th position. Though quite a gap from Draper and up to Gallant ahead of him, so unlikely that he will make more positions in the race for James Draper there. But I do think that Van Dryle have to go out and get a lap time in, not to get DNS. But again, he was probably under the RTG thing in the pit lane. When you rejoin a server, you have to be stationary for a few minutes before you can leave the pit boxes.
I've just noticed that the Chris Haas has just gone into the pits, but the 219 car is only about 12 seconds off Luke Wilson, and he's been catching very slowly. So any mistakes that Luke made now might close that gap up. We've probably got about 4 or 5 laps left to this race, so he has got quite a lot of work to do to close a 12-second gap. But be interested to see where Chris Haas comes out of the pits anyway.
Yes, that's very interesting to see. He is out of the pit now. Or he's leaving the pit now. He's still in the pit lane. Servers are finally back up. Yes, Van Dryle, and get out on that track and get some times in, and make sure not to get DNS'd in the standings. But yeah, as soon as Chris Haas passes that first timing sector, we will get a good look on exactly where he is. This is there Haas is right next to Michael De Gore. But De Gore is still yet to pit, so De Gore just lets Haas go through. No, he doesn't. De Gore fights it and takes... No, he doesn't let Haas go through. Smart driving from De Gore, who will have to come into the pits in not a lot of laps. And Van Dryle also have to make that pit stop in the race, by the way, not to be invalid on that point as well. So he will also have to come into the pit. So De Gore and Van Dryle are yet to stop in this one. Oh, it's there, and I think that's 99 of Finnemer. They might have had a little bit of an argy-bargy moment there through the corkscrew.
He's not had much luck this race, Finnemer, has he? With the stop-go 30 and the incident just going down the corkscrew. But nevertheless, I mean, P13, considering the challenges that he's had, is a hell of a drive.
Yeah, and speaking of hell of a drive, this is Patrick Blisters. We haven't seen much of him this race, as he did take a super early pit stop, but he managed to get himself into the top 10 of the race and are right behind Phil Baratti at the minute. So close, in fact, that if Phil Baratti makes a mistake, I bet you that Patrick Blisters will be all over him for the possible overtake for 9th. That Lamborghini does look nice. Wonder if he is went for sort of a Dutch-styled livery on that, or if it's a French-styled livery he opted for. I think if it was Dutch, there would be a lot more orange on the car, of course. But could be the country's flag he tried to represent on the car. Even though it is just a nice color scheme, nevertheless, it's well, both these cars are liveries generated in the in-game custom livery section, so you can do a few nice things there. As Blisters goes to the outside, that gets a good run out of the final corner on Phil Baratti into the Andretti hairpin. He's already ahead of Phil Baratti before they start braking, but Phil Baratti does have the option to take a much nicer line depending on how wide Blisters goes. And Phil Baratti get a little bit of slide there from both of the cars on the exit. That could be the reason why Phil Baratti couldn't come back there. And Blisters up into 9th position in the race. Phil Baratti demoted into 10th. De Gore comes into the pits, by the way. I wonder where he'll emerge. He'll probably be 3rd in class still, De Gore, when he's done with the pit stop, but we'll have to wait and see. This is the current closest battle on track. Phil Baratti shows himself on the inside, but you do lose a lot of time by not being on the optimum line there. Blisters goes slightly wide there. Phil Baratti goes to the inside, into the corkscrew we go. Almost side by side. Blisters backs out of it. Phil Baratti back into 9th position with just 3.5 minutes to go.
Yeah, that was really unfortunate there, wasn't it? Catching the grass, it really opened the door back up for Phil Baratti to make the move up and down into the corkscrew. But he's going to want that back. There's about 2 or 3 laps remaining. In fact, there is 3 laps. Yeah, maybe 2 laps remaining, depending on how long Luke Wilson takes to get round.
Getting very close together now. Blisters could have the run into turn 1 if he gets that nice slipstream, and look behind, that's the Bonjours that are coming up to lap them. I wonder if Bonjours will just stay behind them and let these two scrub to the end, or if he will try for the move to get them a lap down, and I hope he will just stay out of it, to be honest, as he's not under pressure from behind and he's very unlikely to catch up to Wilson. But Blisters will definitely... Oh, big slide there from Patrick Blisters. This gives Phil Baracci just that bit of a briefing room that he needs. Also makes it so Bonjours have a possible chance to get the overtakes done without interfering too much in the battling. None of them really making that corner. Probably that Lamborghini does look sketchy at this point of the race. Patrick Blisters really pushing everything he can in the car and a little bit beyond maybe. Very close to running wide there once again, coming onto the Ray Hall straight. Into the corkscrew we go. One more time. Where is Luke Wilson? Luke is there, so there will be 2 more laps of racing in this race. Yes, 2 more laps of racing. It will be Luke Wilson starts his second to final lap now. So these guys 2 more. Back marker ahead of them. Or is that Cohen Geens maybe? No, that's the back marker. That's Brooklyn, I think it is. In the 971 Audi style livery on that that McLaren. Patrick Blisters, you'll have just 1 more run into turn 1 to get this done. Getting 1 wheel onto the sand there, getting a slide. Slight bit of a slide on there. Maybe not the smartest of words to put together. But he is definitely pushing everything he can to get this move done on Phil Baracci. He does want that 9th position. It looks like great battling between these 2 guys, and Tigori actually came out in 2nd position in class. Though Iron Van Linden are somewhat close behind and on much fresher tires as well. But not as close as Patrick Blisters and Phil Baracci. Onto the corkscrew we go 1 more time after this. They go here. Blisters trying to show himself with some alternative lines and gets very close to Phil Baracci there, but not the best of exit lines there from Patrick Blisters. Phil Baracci again with the wider line. Blisters goes to the much tighter line, trying for some sort of a move, showing himself left, right and center for Phil Baracci. Phil Baracci will have to go defensive into the final corner, pushes Blisters a little bit wide there, squeezes him onto the grass. Blisters cannot be happy with that, as they will start the final lap, and that would be the opportunity gone for Patrick Blisters there for 9th position. Good hard battling it was from these 2 guys.
Yeah, really unfortunate. You can see how he just runs a little bit wide on. Well, I say a little bit wide, quite a lot wide, and yeah, he's gonna have to. He needs something to happen to Phil Baracci now to catch him back up.
As the race timer have ran out, we can see the bottom right hand frame there now in the big screen. Luke Wilson on his final lap, he did manage to put another lap down on Max Spooner, the other Lexus driver, and it's screenception at the minute if you're into stuff like that. Whether or not, I don't think that Iron Van Linden wants to get lapped here, because the Gore is so close to him ahead. That could be a battle for position for the end. This is Daniel Hummel in 5th position. Good race from him so far. He will have 1 more lap. No, he will not. He is... Where is he on track? Oh yeah, it is his final lap. I thought we were on the other side of the track there. But yeah, Luke Wilson comes across to take the checkered flag and wins once again for the 4th time this season. Luke Wilson takes the top step of the podium and wins at Laguna Seca. What a drive once again from the Lexus driver. The fuel-only strategy seemed to be working out well there for him. Bonjours finishes 2nd, but with fastest lap as well. No points for that, but nevertheless an honor to get. Good drive from him. He did try the alternate strategy, and that might be why he had the pace in the beginning. Vladimir will come in to finish 3rd here on Laguna Seca and take the win in the AM category. Chris Haas deserved 4th position, did a good drive there in the Audi. 5th will be Daniel Hummel, as we see other drivers finishing further down the grid. it is confirmed that De Gore and Van Linden will be second and third, no matter what. In the AMCAT, we're getting very close together here. This could be an attempt into the final corner. We go, by the way, the rookie class is Wayman, Suwano, Spooner second, and Gallant third. But De Gore, that might be the small mistake there from Van der Linden that gives De Gore this one. Van Linden is way too far behind now for the launch into the final corner. Then he would have to make it a drag race, and a mistake from De Gore to make it work. De Gore takes second position in the AM class, and Iron Van der Linden finishes off the podium there in third. Great race there from these drivers. Epic finish to the race. Well deserved podiums for all the guys who was there. Any thoughts on the race there, Mr. Potter?
No, it was a good race. I think the strategies that some of the drivers put out were very different. I think you had people that picked really early on, you had people that picked in the middle, and some people that picked towards the end. I think a lot of battles throughout. I think Laguna Seca is just one of those tracks that sort of creates a bit of drama, creates a bit of racing, and almost forces people to be around other cars. I think it's been an interesting one. We've been sat here now for 75 minutes, and I feel like I've just sat down. So that's probably the sign of a good race. I've just seen in the chat actually that Luke Wilson has put, "I've got to run. I've got another race," which is quite the commitment.
Yeah, I must say, but congratulations, Luke Wilson. I hope you have time after Indianapolis to come and have a chat with us in the commentary booth. As you know that we would love to hear from you at some point in here, but good luck in your next race and have fun with that, as we are joined in the commentary booth by the rookie class winner, Sil Waymans. Congratulations on yet another good result for you in this championship. If you're here, Mr. Waymans. Maybe you're on push to talk or muted or something. Maybe check that. No, that's before Waymans gets here, King. Next race will be another of the sprint installments. Double header for that one.
Yeah, it will be.
The second one for the championship decider. That could be extremely interesting to see who gets the best results there overall.
Yeah, it's going to be interesting. I think Indianapolis next round is going to be spicy, to say the least. The lap times are really short there. They're not much longer than Laguna Seca, despite the track feeling absolutely massive. So I think it's going to be really interesting.
Yeah, and sure. Since Mr. Waymans is still not speaking to us, then Mr. Bonjours, good race from you this time, P2. Though, any regrets on the strategy?
Yeah, I mean, thank you guys. Yeah, I mean, the strategy was basically I need to be first in the first lap, because I know that if Wilson is first after like 2 laps, then he's just gonna drive away. So I just dive bombed at turn 1 or turn 2. I think on the second lap, just to try to go first. And then I knew I didn't have the pace, but I tried to kind of back him up into the guy in third, just so he could be distracted. So yeah, that worked for a while, because I think I was like 5 or 6 seconds clear before I pit stop. But then I don't know, I changed tires, and when I came back, like after his pit stop, Wilson was like 12 seconds clear. So I was like, okay. So obviously we don't have the same pace, but yeah, I tried at least.
Yeah, but this brings you right into the mix in the silver class with a good result here. Obviously, unfortunate that you missed the Red Bull ring, but
yeah,
this actually throws you up there in contention for good results. Next race will be Indianapolis, of course, with the double header and the full points for both races there. Do you reckon that you could go in and maybe challenge Mr. Luke Wilson around Indianapolis, even though it is a track that should suit the Lexus as well?
To be honest, no, I don't think so.
Show us some confidence.
Okay, well, I need someone to dive bomb and take him out. If someone is listening, maybe I'll give you some money to take him out. That's my only chance. No, I
then you
think
have to do it in 2 races in a row, because if you take him out too much in the first one, then he'll just have pole for the second one.
all right. Okay. Well, we need to be several then. One on each race. No, I don't think so, to be honest. But yeah, we will see. Never know what can happen. So yeah, I'll try. If I can't be first, I'll try to be a good second at least.
Yes, thank you for joining us here. Let's head on to the rookie classes. I do believe that Sil Waymans finally can speak to us, and David Gallant as well. First for Waymans and third for Gallant in the race and rookie class. Let's start with Mr. Waymans. How did Wishmans, maybe even, how did you find the race out there today?
It was the most solid race I raced, I think, today. It was no track limits and just overall little mistakes, but still a good pace, I think.
Yeah, we did see you with quite a few cars of other classes behind, and didn't look like you were defending too hard, but just focusing on keeping your lines and keeping the race going.
Yeah, exactly. I knew my tire management is not great, so there was no point in fighting other guys from a different class. So I just tried to focus on my own race and my own racing line and do the best I could.
Yeah, and this will actually work out well for you, as the championship will definitely close up quite a bit heading into Indianapolis. There were, like 6 points between you and Spooner before this race. Spooner obviously finishing in second in class, so it'll be down to about a point between you two before heading into Indianapolis. Will there be any sort of mind games coming into that round?
I have no idea. I'm not planning to do that. I'm just gonna try to do my best, race clean but hard, and we'll see who's gonna win.
Yes, of course. The Lexus does seem strong on Indianapolis. Have been good there before. But is it a track that you like personally, or is it one of those that you're thinking, damn it, it just had to be Indy?
I have no idea. I never driven on the track, so I'm just gonna have to learn it and see how it goes.
Yeah, we're looking forward to that, and hoping that we get to speak to you again after Indianapolis, as we'll head on to Mr. David Gallant, third in class and almost a home field advantage for one of the 2 final rounds as well, with 2 American rounds for the Canadian driver. How did you find the virtual crowd out there today?
Oh, I had a bit of an issue at the start there. Someone didn't go off the line. I ended up having to dodge and blew it out at the start of the race. Had to go pit.
Yeah, did that hurt your strategy, or were you all the time planning on doing just fuel in the race? Or did you end up doing a 2-stopper maybe then?
No, I just did the 1 stop, took no tires, but I was so far down. I was already a lap down before I even got started. I also don't have a replay of that. Like, I don't even know what happened, but some guy didn't go off the line.
Yeah, we did see some yellow flags, so we also didn't catch it on stream either, but there was yellow flags out at least in the start, so it would be easy to figure out who it was. But yeah, very unfortunate there. Do you reckon you could have been in the fight with Sil for the win today if that unfortunate start didn't happen?
Yeah, I think I'd pace. I think Seal was still faster than me, so it would have been tough to say, but yeah, I was keeping up with some of the silver class, so I feel like I could have been in the mix.
That would have been good, at least, because if you would have been up there as well, although you could have thrown yourself into a position where it would look somewhat easier for you for top 3 for the final round. It is looking slightly more grim now, but 2 good results on Indianapolis could thrust you right back up into it.
Well, yeah, I guess also too, so if I get a bye, I don't understand how that works, because it took one of my second places on the last race, so I wonder if now that I pit position so low, this will bye week kind of thing.
Yeah, I think that's you're using the championship standings on the sim grid, I assume then. If you go onto the website, then it should be sorted out there with official results, if I'm not mistaken.
Like, how does that exactly work? You know, with the one docked race, how does that?
There shouldn't be a drop round. I've actually sent you a link to the webpage where we have the actual standings on, where there's not that weirdness going on, I think.
Oh, it's just because there's a dash on each one of our races.
Yeah, I noticed that as well when I went in looking at it earlier in the season, but it's there's not supposed to be any drop rounds for a 5-race championship, so we'll probably figure that out at some point. Nevertheless, one more evening of racing to go. Looking forward to Indianapolis.
Yeah, it should be exciting. Same with Sil there. I have never raced it, so it'll be interesting.
You're Canadian, haven't raced it on Indy. No American championships, I suppose.
No, it's just one of those tracks that never really comes up, you know? It's kind of an outlier.
Yeah, unfortunately, I personally love the track to drive, and it's not that difficult to drive, but there are good overtaking opportunities. But yeah, we'll be heading on to the final round of the GT3 Tier 2 season in just 2 weeks' time, when we go racing on Indianapolis with the double-headed sprint finale. Remember to tune in this weekend when we go endurance racing on Indianapolis as well for the 8-hour endurance there. Tune in Saturday at about noon, I suppose, for great racing and entertainment throughout the race, as we're trying to get the commentary team together to figure something out there. It doesn't seem like too many are available at the minute. So if you're interested in helping out, then please do take contact to Mr. Chris Hill, and he will probably get you sorted for some commentary scheduling for that race. Nevertheless, I have been Oliver Anderson, Mr. One of Oliver. Joining me in the commentary booth tonight have been Andy Potter King, and behind the cameras, Grandpa Chris Hill, as always. And do remember, there are no exit songs for this season, unfortunately.